Battle Through the Heavens, Grand World. Chapter 8. Yun Luo Academy. Xiao Yan opened his eyes and his heart was filled with excitement. He looked at Xuan Kai Lin, and the others. The four of them were still immersed in the scroll, but there was some excitement and yearning on each of their faces. Xiao Yan withdrew his gaze and the heavenly flame that wrapped around them. Su Feng also appeared at the right time. He looked at Xiao Yan with a smile and said, "Xiao Yan. How is it? This big world is the true stage for the strong. The lower realm continent is just a foil." Xiao Yan let out a long breath. His voice was trembling with excitement. As expected of a great world. With just a few words of introduction, I can feel an unparalleled aura. Xiao Yan praised. As the two of them spoke, Xuan and the other three also stood up. Their eyes were filled with yearning and excitement. Guyuan looked around and respectfully said to Su Feng, "Senior, according to the scroll, there are 10 regions in the Great World. Which region does this belong to?" Su Feng smiled and said, "I forgot to tell you, this place is a special spatial zone built by Heavenly Sovereign Expert. It is specifically used to welcome the next advancement to the Fighting Monarch realm. It is called the New Sovereign World. It can be considered a small spatial zone. This spatial zone is located in Forest Domain. There are many such spatial zones in every region." After a pause, Su Feng pointed at the spatial zone and said, "This square in front of you." Although it looked vast and boundless, it was in fact only a few hundred meters in size. It was considered a formation, and outside the formation was the new Emperor world. As he spoke, Su Feng took out a jade pendant and inserted a sliver of origin monarch chi into it. The jade pendant instantly lit up. In the next moment, the endless space in front of Xiao Yan quietly collapsed. What appeared in front of everyone was a square. The square was very big, and there were several wooden houses standing around it. These wooden houses were built by some major powers. These powers can be considered to be average in the Great World. Basically, there are 1 or 2 heavenly sovereign experts in the sects, and they recruit new fighting monarchs here all year round. I suggest that you all join a sect when you just arrived." After saying this, Su Feng lightly pinched the jade pendant. After the light faded, Su Feng's figure disappeared. "Join the sect." Xiao Yan looked at the four of them and thought for a moment. "Father and Uncle Zhu, what do you think?" Guyuan pondered for a moment. He sighed and said with a bitter smile, "To be honest, I don't really want to join." Zhu Kun, who was next to him, also nodded. Xuan smiled and said, "Father and Uncle Zhu have been in high positions in Fighting Qi continent for a long time. I think they are not willing to join a sect and be bullied as a junior disciple." Being exposed by Xuan words in their hearts, Guyuan and Uncle Zhu's faces turned red. Kai Lin, who was beside, also said, "I also agree with father's opinion. Being a little disciple who was ordered by someone, it would be better to go and adventure by yourself." Xiao Yan also nodded. This was not because they cared about their reputation. It was mainly because of the confidence and imposing manner in their hearts, which made them unwilling to lower their heads. This could be considered a common trait of the fighting monarch of lower realm, especially Xiao Yan and the others. In the Fighting Qi continent, which lacked origin monarch Qis, every step of improvement was earned through their own efforts. The pride and dignity in their hearts was much stronger than the fighting monarchs in the other continents. "Big brother Xiao Yan, why don't we join that academy?" Just as everyone was silent, Xuan suddenly said. Xiao Yan and the others looked in the direction where Xuan was pointing and saw an ordinary wooden house in the northeast corner. There was a green stone that was as tall as a man standing on it. There were 4 big and powerful words carved on the stone, Yunluo Academy. Xiao Yan was overjoyed. College. These 2 words were absolutely meaningful to him. His life as a powerhouse started from the college. In the end, he obtained the treasure that allowed him to advance to the fighting monarch from the academy. Xiao Yan immediately said, "Father, Uncle Zhu, Kai Lin, we can join that academy. According to my experience, the academy should be quite free." She seemed to know that this was the best ending. Guyuan and the other 2 did not have any objections. They all nodded in agreement. The 5 of them walked into the small wooden house of Yunluo Academy. The house was very small, and there was only an old man in a white robe and an ancient wooden table inside. When he heard that someone had come in, the old man who was dozing sat down immediately. He couldn't help but laugh when he saw Xiao Yan and the other 3. "Welcome." Little guys, are you all going to join the Yunluo Academy? The old man's eyes swept across the 5 of them like a hungry wolf. His face was full of smiles. Yes. Xiao Yan felt depressed. He had just arrived in the great world and had already met 2 old men. They were both strange old men, and they were all looking at him and his group with strange gazes. After hearing what Xiao Yan said, the old man was immediately overjoyed and asked for their names. He projected the images of the 5 people into a white jade bead, then stood up and took out 5 scrolls from the table. He threw them at each of them. He smiled at Xiao Yan and the others, who looked puzzled, and said, "Since the establishment of the Yunluo Academy, there has been a rule that every new student who wants to join the academy must complete a type of training. Only those who have met the requirements can be accepted. What you are holding in your hands is an empty scroll, which is personally made by the dean. Depending on your mind, the scroll will be based on your mind. The soul and the others will be able to combine to form a trial that the 5 of you will need to complete." Following the old man's guidance, Xiao Yan and the other 3 closed their eyes. Their minds were immersed in the blank scroll in their hands. After a moment, the scroll in Kai Lin's hands emitted 6 different lights. After that, Xuan also released 6 different lights. The old man secretly nodded his head, and very quickly, the scrolls in Zhu Kun and Guyuan's hands released 7 different types of light almost at the same time. The 4 of them opened their eyes and looked at the glowing scrolls in their hands. Then they looked at Xiao Yan, who still had his eyes closed. After a long time, the scroll in Xiao Yan's hands did not move at all. The old man's eyes twitched. Could it be? Before he could finish his thought, the scroll in Xiao Yan's hand suddenly released 10 rays of light. The brilliant rays of light instantly filled the small house. The old man's face was instantly filled with shock, and then it quickly turned into wild joy. His excited voice was almost shouting out, "Saint-level trial." Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.